Thank you for your service and for joining us in this series as we continue with ideas, ideals, and illusion. Expressing deep gratitude to Lucis Trust for the preservation and distribution of the works of Alice A. Bailey given by Master Dwal Kul, and to all the aspirants, disciples, and initiates who have and continue to, in DK's words, think these teachings into the minds of humanity. As Master Dwal Kul says, in this way, your service is very real. So today we're going to recap the highlights of our journey together over the past 18 months as we prepare for the Capricorn cycle in 2025, this very important year. And as before, we focus on, as individuals, the problem of all disciples as it remains the same. And how does DK describe that problem? It is to live simultaneously the acutely sensitive inner life of the pilgrim upon the path of life, and then also as the human being in the world of human events. It is to live the group life of the pledged discipleship, which is on the subjective plane, and also live the life of mass, the mass life of humanity, and to create this bridge, to fulfill your own destiny, spiritual destiny, through the medium of a controlled personality. And we have focused on that in relation to the rules of thought for the astral plane that we have just completed. And we'll continue to focus on the control of the personality as the gift waves of the soul begin to be actuated within the personality as personality integration occurs and as personality becomes controlled by the soul. And then at the same time to participate fully in the life of humanity upon earth, which we do, most of us, in our service groups, targeting the gifts that we can give and the great gifts of the soul to lift and aid humanity upon earth. And as DK says, this is no easy task. So from the beginning, our goal, our aim, and it is today to embody spiritual discernment, to practice positive harmlessness, and eventually achieve a state of divine indifference. As we dispel illusion, dissipate glamours, devitalize Maya in all our relationships. We have studied together for years, meditated, and serve, most of us daily, to awaken the lower vehicles to soul influence and eventual soul control. We, as all humanity, must continue to lift the energies of the solar plexus center, which in humanity's case is the dominant sixth ray emotional idealism at its highest point. Lift it to the heart, and from that, which we perceive as our heart, into the light of the one heart. That heart, the life thread, is anchored in each expanded sphere of the heart, and eventually realize, naught is but me. The second ray of the solar system, the life of the solar logos. We practice first as individuals and then as groups. To ourselves. in the heart and lift up to the highest heart. And then descend to the solar plexus, humanity, bringing that light, and then lifting the heart and the greater heart into the light, and say, I am the soul, as if one soul. I am light divine, as if the embodiment of light divine. I am love, as if one loving expression. I am will, as if the will of the soul. I am fixed design, as if the unified design for the fulfillment of the purpose. And from that point, lifted to the highest, we align and orient to the subjective livingness of the ashram. The ashram of Sanat Kumara. The enlightenment into play to realize a state of mental polarization. We unify with all souls as the one soul, affirming our knowledge, acceptance, and understanding that it is not my soul or thy soul, but the one soul of all, affirming there is no separation. As we sound, the souls of all are one, and we are one with them. We seek to love, not hate. We seek to serve and not exact due service. We seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love that underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate, and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all people love. Our originates on the higher level, presupposes a very high and find that beam of light that with that of atomic matter, thus opening up a wide range of communicators as we move forward together, as you are in touch with the great teaching that is available from these communicators. Bring that into your consciousness, aligning with the soul and being inspired to know the gift waves of the three lower bodies integrated into the personality inspired by soul light. As Master DK tells us in Telepathy and the Etheric Vehicle, the soul spells safety. It should be remembered that the soul is always good. It may lack knowledge in the three worlds, and in this way be deficient, but the soul harbors no evil. So any hesitancy you might have, lift yourself to the highest point, the point of soul influence, and with courage and endurance, move forward on the path of integration. We use meditation 3 every full moon cycle. We meet in group formation, one group or another, along the lines of our various group affiliations. In the annual cycle, sounding 12 notes to take us into the light of the soul together. Whenever we sound, into the light we move, beckoned thereto by thee. Out of the dark we come, driven thereto by the soul of all. Up from the earth we spring, and into the ocean of light we plunge. Together we come, together we move, guided and led by the soul we serve, and by thee, the Master we know. The Master within and the Master without are one. That one are we. The one is all. My soul, thy soul, the Master and the soul of all. At each full moon cycle, we move out of any separative thought into the one soul of all. Ben.
Our light. Light is vibration, and through the measurement of vibration is fixed the grading of the scholars. Hence, nothing can prevent a man's progress forward if he but attends to the purification of his vehicles. The light within will shine forth with ever greater clarity as the refining process goes on, until, when atomic matter predominates, great will be the glory of that inner man. We are all graded, therefore, if it may be so expressed, according to the magnitude of the light, according to the rate of vibration, according to the purity of the tone and the clarity of the color. Who our teacher is depends, therefore, upon our grading. Similarity of vibration holds the secret. We are frequently told that when the demand is forceful enough, the teacher will appear. When we build in the right vibrations and attune ourselves to the right key, nothing can prevent our finding the master. At the third initiation, termed sometimes the transfiguration, the entire personality is flooded with light from above. It is only after this initiation that the monad is definitely guiding the ego, pouring his divine life evermore into the prepared and cleansed channel.
As we proceed, let us recognize where we are on the path and where we each are in relation to this purification of our vehicles. And those who will follow this series in the future, know where you are on the path. Live your life in relation to what needs to be purified and transmuted through the first and then the second initiation. Letting the soul guide. For every step forward in the light, into a plate of this, into our efforts to think the teachings into the minds of humanity. Donna?
It is the law of abstraction which lifts a disciple out of the three worlds, the three lower bodies, etheric, physical, astral, emotional, and mental, of human endeavor. It is this same law which brings about the upward drive which all units of life express, and the search of all of them for identification with the One. It is with this law that you, along with all disciples, must learn to work. This emergence into manifestation is brought about through what is understood by the following terms: the refining of the bodies, which form the casket or sheath hiding the reality; the process of unveiling, so that one by one those bodies which veil the self are brought to a point where they are simply transparencies, permitting the full shining forth of the divine nature. After the destruction of the causal body at the fourth initiation, this proceeds. An expansion of consciousness. At each initiation, a new vista is found to be revealed, recognized, and fusion occurs. An expansion of consciousness which is brought about through the ability of the self to identify. Identification shifts, changes, expands, to identify with its real nature as the onlooker, and no longer regarding itself as the organ of perception. The attitude and the altitude of the observer.
Pondering on this can give you some sense of what may still need to be transmuted within your own being. And it also may give you some clues in relation to the way in which you use the gift waves as each body becomes more transparent and the gifts of the soul unite into the personality, which then can be expressed to magnetize those interrelation to soul expresses through those. Frida?
I don't have a voice. I am sick. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
I can read.
Hello.
I can read.
Please go ahead.
As part of our continuing integration of the three techniques, the technique of indifference, the technique of light, and the technique of the presence, we subjectively explore the gift waves of the lower vehicles that are ever being transmuted and brought into alignment as the integrated personality. We seek to know, understand, and comprehend how these gifts of the soul influence and soul control are contributed to the subjective life, light, and loving service of all our serving groups and in all our relationships. Roman numeral 2.
Yeah, thank you.
An emergence in the manifestation of the subjective aspect in man or humanity. One of the objects of evolution is that the subjective reality should eventually be brought forward into recognition. This can be expressed in several symbolic ways, all of them dealing with the same one fact in nature, and climaxing in progressive points of identification, which are at the first initiation, little Keeliship, the bringing to the birth of the Christ within, or Bodhisattva, the Lord Maitreya, or the coming one, and moving from darkness to light. Second initiation is a Chila in the light, the shining forth of the inner radiance or glory, and moving from the unreal to the real. The third initiation is accepted discipleship, the demonstration of the second or the love aspect. And the true love aspect is pure reason, absent all sentimentality, moving from death to immortality. Fourth initiation, the Arhat initiation, from Initiation Human and Solar, page 19. The manifestation of the solar angel, moving from chaos to beauty.
Lead us, O Lord, with the technique of indifference, using the power of transmission. From darkness to light, with the technique of light, using the power of illumination. From the unreal to the real, with the technique of the presence, using the power of intuition. From death to immortality, to achieve freedom from the lower bodies and life on the Buddhic plane. Unity with true intuition and divine indifference.
So this ancient prayer or mantra outlines the path on the highest level in relation to the first 4 initiations. The third being the first initiation, the first major initiation. Margie, would you continue?
Light, initiation, takes us from darkness to light. It must be remembered that the entire solar system, with all that is included therein, is expressing itself in terms of light, and that the process of initiation might therefore be regarded as one in which the different points of light, or human sparks, are stimulated, their radiance and temperature increased, and the sphere of influence of each light extended in radius. First, the united auras of the group members ever determine the group condition, the group activity, usefulness, problem, and glamour. Hence emerges individual group responsibility and individual usefulness. Each of you either hinders or aids the group, according to his auric condition, which is either in a state of glamour or illusion, or is kept relatively free from these conditions.
Consider group at all levels in this particular personal incarnation. The family, the community into which you are born, the nation in which you are raised, the language and culture and those influences, and how in this development of light within your own being, you take responsibility aiding the group, whatever group it is, and stay relatively free of glamour and illusion to the extent possible given your progress along the path. We sometimes too soon take it to the level of our serving groups without having full recognition of the impact that we have in every group that we are part of, and how we bring the light into those groups using these gift waves of the soul integration process with our personality. So a first step is to recognize how your giftedness comes forth in group itself, and then merging and bringing that into service groups in a way that you are aiding the group condition assisting the group activity and being useful, and letting all individual glamours fall away, and lifting up to that soul point where that group is focused on service, whatever that service is. In meditation 4, which I believe we did at the close of 2024, or in 2024, we entered into a stage of recognition as a group endeavoring to lift and aid humanity by thinking the teachings into the minds of humanity in all of our groups, and following our progress in aspiring for knowledge, understanding, and comprehension. As a group now, let us enter into the stage of recognition very rapidly, holding the consciousness steadily in the mind as we recognize our pledged discipleship, as we recognize our equipment gratefully rendered, knowing the qualities of the soul-infused lower vehicles, the qualities of the personality in relation to the soul. Recognizing our achieved alignment, recognizing the soul, the source of love wisdom, and we recognize the hierarchy. In that meditation, we learned that it's essential that we understand the distinction among purpose, will, and intention. Donna, would you read beginning Purpose Itself?
Purpose itself is only an energy released within the confines of the council chamber. There it must take shape. Purpose is passive. Purpose involves the Buddhic or intuitional plane. Purpose relates to the fourth initiation. Purpose concerns the throat center. Purpose is the light upon the path. The will is an expression of the law of sacrifice. Will is active. Involves the astral plane, relates to the second initiation, concerns the heart center, the advancing point of light. This developed will expresses itself as tension, esoterically understood. It embodies the ideas of orientation, implacable determination, ability to wait and to preserve intention and orientation, unmoved by aught which may occur. It also involves the determination to take the intended action, always of a creative nature and based on loving understanding, at the psychological moment, right timing, or that exact moment which the psyche or soul determines to be correct.
This teaching gives us the clue in relation to our service work, where the will, as an expression of the law of sacrifice, is activated, involving the astral plane, as we do using the 3 techniques. And it does relate to the second initiation. And we'll find in most of our service groups, we are working with those having achieved the second initiation, or having approached the second initiation. And it definitely concerns the heart center And we utilize the energies to lift those who have not yet achieved a level of mental polarization that they can truly activate the will as an expression of the law of sacrifice. So we develop this point of tension, we orient, we endeavor to develop this implacable determination, and we hold the ability to wait and preserve this intention and orientation, unmoved by anything that occurs. We practice discernment and gradually begin to discern the distinction between will and purpose, to then hold pure motive and intention in our service activities and summon the will. We use a statement to the personality, which is made by you, the soul, the disciple. Ben, would you sound this mantra of the will?
In the center of the will of God, I stand. Naught shall deflect my will from His. I implement that will by love. I turn towards the field of service. I, the triangle divine, work out that will within the square and serve my fellow men.
Nation. And we utilize the soul will in all of our groups. Master DK says, for personality integration, know thyself and proceed slowly and with caution. Margie.
Establishing of continuity of consciousness. This reflex activity of the lower nature corresponds to the development of continuity between the superconscious and the conscious and the consciousness, which develops upon the path of discipleship. It is all a part, in 3 stages, of the integrating process.
The confusion arises for many in that they have not yet internalized what DK tells us about the 3 techniques: indifference, the technique of light, and the technique of the presence, that these are, in effect, not separated off by lines of demarcation. The first, second, and third initiations, these techniques are utilized with a kind of simultaneity, and there will be stages where one or other will be of predominance in the individual's integration process. And when it comes to group, it becomes a far more complex and dynamic process. So in the coming week, consider these questions. How do you understand the reflex activity of your lower nature? How do you understand this reflex activity developing, being modified, becoming more enlightened in the process of being integrated under the guidance of your soul? What gift waves, soul integrating talents and skills from the higher are emerging in this process? Is there a particular sensitivity that you came in with, that you brought into this life that had already been developed, and you're to utilize in this incarnation to move to the next step along the path. What other sensitivities have developed in your life experience that from that point and the altitude of the soul consciousness, you can see activating the gift waves of the soul? Recognize your achieved alignment. Recognize your equipment gratefully rendered. This reflex activity of the lower nature, as the integration process proceeds, how does the activity of the lower nature change? What is transmuted? What is then expressed as the soul controls the outer form and life and all events? Master Dwalkul gives extensive explanations and elaborations of the techniques of integration: inclusion, centralization, stillness, the rays of aspect, the rays of attribute, steadfastness, detachment, restraint, and orientation. We'll look more deeply into those as we move along in our process of opening to ideas, ideals, and illusions. But let's pause and truly begin to integrate the technique of indifference and understand what that means. Ben.
What is indifference? It means, in reality, the achieving of a neutral attitude towards that which is regarded as the not-self. It involves a repudiation of similarity. It marks the recognition of a basic distinction. It signifies refusal to be identified with anything save the spiritual reality, as far as that is sensed and known at any given point in time and space. It is therefore a much stronger and vital thing than what is usually meant when the word is used. It is active repudiation without any concentration upon that which is repudiated. If we are asked to specify the outstanding fault of the majority of groups of disciples at this time, I would say that it is the expression of the wrong kind of indifference, leading to an almost immovable preoccupation with their personal ideas and undertakings.
As you think about the groups in which you are activating these soul gift waves into and through your personality, consider the groups that you are in daily and close contact. and recognize that we must let go of any personal ideas and any personal undertakings that we may have been drawn to along the path guiding the emergence of true identification with the soul, and bring the gift waves of the lower self into that high point, allowing the lower to fall away, so that when mentally polarized, when we've achieved that point, there is no personal idea. It is soul consciousness that is guiding. We might visualize this as the personality grows and expands and the gift waves begin to appear, as the soul begins to control in the soul vehicle, that unique vehicle that each of us have been given, as unique as every snowflake. And the alignment then that occurs in every group, and the goal being revealing soul consciousness in humanity, in all its manifestations, the one soul. Words that DK gives us, these processes for each of the rays. This is a picture of a group as they have identified in the central part, and each of the smaller identified their giftedness, whether it is a third ray physical body, or it is a sixth ray astral body or second ray astral body, all identifying, or over 80% of the group identifying as second ray souls. I see the greatest light using the second ray technique of centralization, which holds the quality of the hidden vision, inclusive reason, where the love of love must dominate. And for this group, the construction of forms through group intercourse, the stimulation of desire, the life principle, soul impulse or energy. And as this group develops, they will then begin to look at the giftedness of those within the group who have a different identification as soul in their own developmental process. And so the group will look at inclusion of the first ray souls, stillness of the second ray souls, or third ray souls, steadfastness, the fourth ray soul identification, or attribution, one might say, the fifth, which is detachment, the sixth, restraint, and the seventh, orientation, and begin to consider the of the group, and then as the sixth ray, and the way in which the sixth ray will bring those attributes into this centralized focus of this particular group as they move forward in service together. Just a way of beginning to visualize as a group. This group is visualizing how they bring these qualities together in their service work. And they're following, as DK advises us. We know ourselves, we proceed slowly and with caution, and as a group, study effects, cultivating the realization that eternity is long and that that which is slowly built up endures forever. And then, of course, aiming at regularity. And as we all are reminded to do, to realize always that the true spiritual effects are to be seen in the exoteric life of service. The world will see the effects and be a better judge than we are ourselves, and above all, the Master will know, for the results on causal levels will be apparent to the Master long before the student is conscious of any progress. So we stand together, aware of soul, oriented to soul, as one soul, more radiant than the sun, purer than the snow, subtler than the ether, is the self, the spirit within my heart. I am that self am I.
We evoke the stage of tension as basic and essential for complete control of the personal self, so that it is fitted for contact with the real. We achieve a state of fusion with the soul or with the angel, guarding the approach to the path of the higher evolution. We hold the mind steady in the light of the soul, which remains the attitude of the lower self for the entire remaining period of work, held at the point of tension by the soul and not by any effort of the personality. The soul undertakes this holding when the personal self has done its utmost to achieve the desired tension, to be ready to proceed with a formula using a more advanced meditation attitude, not form. We achieve a definite and sustained effort to sense the presence throughout the universe, in all forms, and in all presentations of truth. It is the effort primarily to see in the light which the angel radiates, the point of light behind all phenomenal appearances. Then, having sensed the presence, not theoretically, but in vibrating response to its existence, we approach the stage of the ascertaining of the purpose. We pause to fuse the soul qualities of the integrated personality into direct alignment with the angel of the presence. We are concerned with the effort to achieve an understanding of that the soul and the angel of the presence, that which through the medium of form, the soul vehicle, causal body, egoic lotus, then using the personality vehicles, seeking to embody the high purpose at this particular point in the evolutionary cycle. Most importantly, as we eventually hope to express their and our intuitive flashes. This way is revealed to us as disciples, even though it may not concern the intuitive message which we may bring back from our high adventure. Now, we will attune our attitude to the sixth stage of the technique of the presence that moves the disciple from imaginative receptivity and discovery to the focus on the lights of the presence as a higher interlude in which the disciple carries some world problem, some design which the disciple's mind has evolved or heart desired for the helping of humanity, into what is esoterically called the triple light of the intuition. This light is formed by the blending of the light of the personal self focused in the mind, the light of the soul focused in the angel, and the universal light which the presence emits. Silence. We ponder on our own experience of these triple lights of the intuition as aligned with the presence. This, when done with facility, through concentration and long practice of the use of the technique of the presence, produces two results. The first result: there will suddenly dawn upon the disciple's waiting mind, which still remains the agent of reception, the answer to their problem, the clue to what is needed to bring relief to humanity, the information desired, which when applied will unlock some door in the realm of science, psychology, or religion. This door, when opened, will bring relief or release to many. You may recognize and realize on the level of soul consciousness your soul purpose at this time as you use this alignment, becoming more real with greater concentration and prolonged practice. As before I have told you, the intuition, this triple light, is never concerned with individual problems or inquiries. as so many self-centered aspirants think. It is purely impersonal and only applicable to humanity in a synthetic sense. In the stages prior to the third initiation, this intruding agent of light provides direction, an inner template, as a demonstration of a reasoning capacity to pursue action with absolute purity of intention, the first rule of action, leading to an authentic, soul-guided response based on the principle of directed purpose, actuated by the three subtle ray embodiments: the life, the monadic spark, the quality, soul light, and the appearance, personality expression of an aspirant. Inspiring study, soul-focused activities as in-person meetings and dialogue, meditation projects, dedication to group efforts to lift the veils of humanity, to reveal soul consciousness and the path of light. The result, the multiplicity of groups and teachers described by Master DK, now responding to world need, aligning with all the ray types across all esoteric spiritual groups, institutions, and nations. Lower interlude. For the group assembled, aligning soul purpose for the technique of light, and as those practicing the meditative attitude of the technique of the presence. The recognition and realization increases in intensity and with greater clarity over time and in alignment with soul purpose. The intruding agent of light, as the old commentary calls these adventuring intuitives, is recognized as one to whom can be entrusted some revelation, some new impartation of truth, some significant expansion from a seed of truth already given to the race. The disciple then sees a vision. He hears a voice, registers a message, or highest form of all, and becomes a channel of power and light to the world, a conscious embodiment of divinity, or a custodian of a divine principle. These forms constitute true revelation, imparted or embodied. They are still rare, but will increasingly be developed in humanity. We, each, in our own experience, may be able to identify these formulated ideas that are intuited by disciple aspirants from the higher divine ideas on the Buddhic plane that evoke thought forms of solution being implemented almost simultaneously throughout the world. These align across language, culture, orientation to a particular philosophy and are discovered. As the telepathic rapport develops and the great web of the triangles of light grows and expands.
Donna.
Master Joel Kuhl, through Alice Bailey, teaches that revelation is a gradual, unfolding process in spiritual development, not a sudden event. Emphasis in Master DK's teachings in total is that revelation is both a personal and a group process, often catalyzed by collective spiritual striving, and ultimately serves to bring higher truths into practical expression in the world. It is experienced as a series of expanding insights, moving from understanding the material world to ideals, to the soul, and finally to the nature of divinity and unity. Revelation leads to increasing light and awareness, culminating in the recognition of non-separativeness and the alignment of individual will with divine will. These revelations are stepping stones in the initiatory process, with each initiation unveiling deeper truths about the soul, about the self, the soul, and the divine plan. The first major revelation is the recognition of the presence, the realization of one's true immortal self and its oneness with all life at the third initiation. This experience brings about a direct, undeniable knowledge of the inner divine reality, transforming faith into certainty and revealing the factual basis of spiritual brotherhood. The second revelation is the vision, the understanding of one's role in the greater spiritual plan, both individually and as part of a larger group or ray at the fourth initiation.
So much to ponder, much to consider, and yet to continue. To use the aspiration, the spiritual aspiration that brought you onto the path, to greater inspiration, to continue as we turn from Sagittarius, where we can see the goal, toward Capricorn, where we can see the mountain. Take some time this week to consider some of the ideas that were brought forth from the teachings today, and consider how you will use the technique of the presence and the process of this technique from the point that you are along the path of light, and how you will bring the gifts that the soul is endowing you with in this incarnation into all group work, every group with which you are affiliated. And as Dwal Kul says, keep silence and the light will enter.